Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Natalie, and today, spur of the moment filming session, I want to do a foundation declutter video. Now, I have recently done an eyeshadow palette declutter where I literally get rid of, I think, more than half of my eyeshadow palettes. If you're interested in that, I will link it up here and also in the description bar, but that video really inspired me to look at other areas of my collection. And foundation, while I don't have a million, I do have enough to where it's time to look at them and decide if I really need to keep them or not. This is how I store my foundation. Very advanced organization, if you ask me. It's simply a little plastic bin, and then I have a couple outliers here that don't fit in there. So I do, at the very least, want to get rid of enough to where they all fit in this little plastic container. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and get started. And we'll start with some of these outliers. The first one is from CoverGirl. This is the Vitalist Healthy Elixir Foundation. I believe this is discontinued, which I don't understand why people do this, unless it's like a total flop, which this wasn't. This was a pretty well-reviewed foundation. I heard about it from Raw Beauty Christie, and I don't love it. It's just not my style. You know what? Let's actually talk about what I like in a foundation. I think that'll be good so we know what frame of reference we're working with. So first of all, I was gonna say foundations that match me, which is shocking footage, but I like more like yellow based, obviously foundations that match my skin tone, but I do like a yellow toned base. I also like medium to full coverage. I like something that is going to at least be medium buildable to fuller. I like a lot of coverage is my point, but it doesn't have to be like full to the max, although I don't mind that. I typically like a matte satin natural type finish, or leaning more towards matte where I can add glow on my face where I want it, but the rest of it is more matte. And I also require my base to be long wearing. So knowing that, if we're talking about the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir, this was decent. It wasn't as yellow toned as I like, which is not horrible. It wasn't as full coverage as I wanted. It was more of a natural base, and it was a little bit better suited for dry skin, which I should have known because Raw Beauty Christie does have dry skin. And I will say this, if you don't know me or my channel, I was on Accutane for 6 months, and I recently got off of it, I believe in May. So for a healthy time period, I did have drier skin, which is why I purchased this. But it just still didn't excite me, even though I had more of the skin type that would prefer that foundation. It just was not, I don't even know if I talked about it on my channel. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely getting rid of it. It's not now what will suit me. And I will also say that because I'm off Accutane, my skin has gotten more oily. It's not like completely oil ridden, but it is more oily. I'm definitely not dry skin anymore. So that'll change some preferences here as well. Let's move on. This foundation has been out forever. This is from L'Oreal, and it's the True Match foundation. I bought this. This is now turning into who inspired me to buy what, but I bought this because Nicole Guerrero loves this foundation. I like this foundation. I love that they've pretty much always had a great shade range, even before that was hyped and popular. This True Match has always had a really good shade range for all skin tones. And also, it's a very middle ground foundation as far as finish goes. It's not very matte, but it's not super dewy. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It does have really good coverage. However, this foundation creases around my mouth really bad. Even though I love how it looks on my cheeks and my forehead and even my nose, right on my smile lines, it creases horrifically. So I will never buy this again because of that. But if you are somebody with normal, maybe leaning dry skin and you can't find your shade and you like a medium to full coverage, otherwise this is really good. But if you have issues with creasing like I do, this is never going to be it. So definitely getting rid of that. So far, this is easy, isn't it? This is gonna be easy too. This is from Becca. This is the Aqua Luminous Perfecting Foundation. I actually love this foundation, even with more oily skin. I really do like this. I think that it gives a luminous, like glowy look while also staying put on your skin, while also giving you good coverage. I don't know, like it just always worked like really well, even on my more oily skin. This is basically empty though, and it is definitely expired. Love the packaging too. It kind of like pumps up like that, and then you can pull this off and it has like a dropper. Really interesting. I would prefer a pump actually, but still kind of cool with that like pop up there. But I really do like this foundation and will consider purchasing it again just to try to fall in love with it again, because I haven't had like a working shade and a full bottle in quite a while. But I do really like that. And like I said, even though it says luminous, I do think that if you have somewhat oily skin, you could still enjoy that foundation. So definitely a favorite, but have to get rid of it. It's virtually empty. One of my all-time forever favorite foundations will go to my grave raving about this foundation. Are you ready? It's the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I have loved this for years and years and years. Really, truly love this foundation, and I still do. I would say if you are, like me, normal to oily, you will like this for the finish. It is much more of a matte finish. The staying power of this foundation is phenomenal. I mean, double wear, stay in place makeup says it all. This actually, once you apply this, you can feel it drying down onto your skin, which some people may not like. I know some people really don't like to feel their makeup. This though really makes you know upon application that this isn't going anywhere. This is one of the best long wearing foundations I've ever tried. The coverage is medium to full, and the creasing around my smile lines is very minimal. Super impressive foundation. This is still pretty a full bottle, by the way. This is shade 3W2. Pretty yellow, but I tend to like that, as I mentioned. I love this foundation. I love this foundation. For sure keeping, absolutely. Let's go again to some drugstore. I have, I believe, 2 bottles. Yes, I have 2 bottles of the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation. Now, Wet n Wild does have the same foundation, but in a dewy version. And I tried that when I had more dry skin this spring, and I kind of hated it, to be honest. However, the regular Photo Focus foundation is very good. This is, like a lot of the foundations I like, medium to full coverage. It is pretty like satin matte. It's not fully like flat matte. And I mean, you cannot get over the price. This is like $4.99, maybe $5.99 some places. Very inexpensive, kind of has an interesting smell, but doesn't bother me at all. Very good. Now, as far as I'm concerned, let me see. I think I have enough. I think this one that would match me right now, which is Desert Beige, is leaning towards empty. And then I have the shade Bronze Beige, which is not very bronze in my opinion at all. These are both pretty full, so I'm gonna hang on to these. They're very good. I felt like even when I had dry skin, I could get away with wearing this. And then now when I'm more oily, I can still wear it. Also, I noticed that it doesn't have a lot of creasing, which is, as you can probably tell, something that I look for. So really enjoy those, going to keep them. Another foundation that I used to wear all the time, and then it was re-released maybe 2 years ago and I picked it back up, and it is still good, is the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage 24-Hour Wear Foundation. Now, I wore this yesterday for the first time in a really long time, and something that I noticed was that my skin was super oily by the end of the day. Even like midway through the day, my face was like, did you wash your skin with a chicken wing? Like, it was very oily. And this is a super matte long wearing foundation, so I don't know what the deal was with that. I do want to hold on to this and see, like try it a couple more times and see if that's a pattern, because I never remember that happening before. But This kind of tries to live up to the Estee Lauder type of foundation, as in, like I said, super long wearing, super full coverage. And I do remember it having that effect. I mean, I've been stopped when I wear this foundation, people being like, what foundation do you have? And I don't get that constantly with my makeup. So I think it's the coverage that most people, like, you can see the coverage when you wear this. It's very, very full, which I love that for a lot of days. So anyways, like I said, I'm gonna keep this just to kind of try it out again, see what I think. Let's move on to another one I have 2 bottles of. A lot of these I have 2 different shades. What I like to do for foundation is have, if I love it, I like to have a light shade for when I'm pale and then a very tan shade. And then in between my skin tone changes, I can just mix them together. You don't have to buy 8 different foundations throughout the year. You can just have 2 and then mix them accordingly. So I have 2 of the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear from L'Oreal. This foundation is interesting. I have loved this foundation, and then I have also felt like it was too like cakey in some cases. And so I don't have a super solid opinion as in, oh my God, guys, like I do with like the Estee Lauder or the Wet n Wild, where I'm like, I know for sure how I feel about this. I've had multiple experiences with this foundation, and I think it really is finicky depending on your skin type. I do, even though this is called Fresh Wear, I personally didn't love this when I was dry skin. I know some people on YouTube who have more dry skin really like this. I think maybe Kathleen Lights is one of those people, but I'm surprised by it because when I had more dry skin, like I said, I didn't love it. It just felt a little cakey. Whereas if you have more oily skin though, me personally, I would lean more towards this if you're more oily. Definitely love the packaging with the pump, first of all, but definitely more medium to full coverage and not too bad at creasing, not the best with creasing around my smile lines, but not too bad. I think this is one that I need to like try out more and gather hopefully a more solid opinion on, even though I've had this for like a year. So what's taking so long, I don't know, but I am gonna hold on to those and we're gonna keep testing. Okay, 2 bottles of somewhat of the same foundation, but not really, is from Maybelline. I have the Fit Me Dewy and Smooth, and I have the Fit Me Matte and Poreless. The Dewy and Smooth I can pretty much get rid of, even though this is like practically a full bottle. I do not have dry skin anymore, and I don't plan on being on Accutane probably ever again. Not that I had a bad experience, I wish I could, but just Accutane's not something that you do like every year for the rest of your life. So I am gonna get rid of that. I liked it, but I didn't like it nearly as much as I like the Matte and Poreless. And even when I had dry skin, I didn't like this as much. Like my opinion wasn't as positive about that one when I had dry skin as my opinion is of the Matte and Poreless when I have like more oily skin. This is what I'm wearing right now, and I love this foundation. This foundation is so good. Like, it's matte, but it is not dry or super flat looking. It has really good coverage. The color range is good if I remember correctly, because I haven't bought this in a while. I just love it. The only thing I can say about this foundation is it's really annoying that it doesn't have a pump. And actually the Estee Lauder one that I raved about doesn't have a pump either. Although you can buy, I think Estee Lauder maybe sells pumps for them now, but at the very least, if they don't, the MAC foundation pump that you can buy separately for like $6 fits in this bottle. So at least there's a solution there, whereas this one, there's no solution. It's just like, it is what it is. All that said, this is fantastic. Like, I love how my foundation looks and wears throughout the day when I'm wearing this. So 100% recommend, 100% keeping. Oh gosh, this is a weird one, and I really feel like I can get rid of this. I used it literally twice. This is from Dermacol, and this is the Film Studio makeup cover. I heard about this from Tati on YouTube. You can buy this on Amazon, although it's not super cheap. Like, this was like $20 on Amazon. And basically what this is and why I bought it, oh, it's so greasy. It is a holy crap full coverage foundation, but I use this as a concealer. And you literally need, like this, the pigment level, if a normal foundation has, let's say like 30% pigment, I could be wrong with saying that, but let's just say this has like 80% pigment. Like there is, you need the tiniest dot, which is why I think I complain about the price being $20, because you need so little that it's like, can you just cut this in half and then charge me half the price? Because I'm never gonna go through this. If you're using it as a concealer. Foundation, I don't think I've seen anyone love this as a foundation. It is so oily and like, I don't know, just like super cakey very quickly unless you use the tiniest amount. Luckily, at this point in my life, and thanks to Accutane, I don't really need a concealer to this level. So I think right now it's just taking up space in my, and it's kind of oily, like I'm touching the bottle and I'm feeling oil. I think it's just taking up space in my collection, so I will get rid of that today. But if you do need something with the maximum coverage, I mean, it's worth trying out as a concealer, but like I said, I wouldn't recommend it as a full-on foundation. This is another weird product, but very effective, although I don't know if this is still available. I'm not sure. This is from The Body Shop, so weird. And this is shade adjusting drops, and this is in the lightening shade. So they have like a lightening and maybe like a darkening. I don't know. The theory for this is that you can take a darker foundation, add these drops, and it will lighten. And it does absolutely work. And it didn't ever, I haven't used this in a long time, it didn't ever change the texture of my foundation or make it like a weird shade. Like it's a good, pretty much like creamy white tone that it just is added. So anyways, you know what I'm saying about this. It does work. However, I never use this anymore. I did when I bought it like 3 years ago or something. I prefer, like I said, to just have a darker foundation and a lighter one and then just mix them together. So I will get rid of this. Also, isn't The Body Shop like now at least partially an MLM? I don't know about that, but I feel like I saw something and I would like to not support if I don't have to. Okay, moving on. I have 2 stick foundation. We're almost done actually. 2 stick foundations. One is from Bare Minerals. I believe I received this from, I received this from Influencer, which I've talked about before. It's basically a program anybody can join, and you fill out surveys, and basically if they think you're a good fit, if the company thinks you're a good fit, they'll send you free products to try. The only thing you need to do in return is like write reviews on their products, which I'm more than happy to do. So this is from Bare Minerals. I would have never bought it unless it was sent to me, but this is the Complexion Rescue Hydrating Foundation Stick. Mine's in the shade Buttercream 3, so this is more of like my when I'm more pale shade. This actually is a good product, especially if you are normal leaning dry, because it is pretty moisturizing. And also it is more light coverage though. Like you can maybe get it to medium, but it's definitely not going to be full. If you're somebody who, normal to dry skin, doesn't want a ton of coverage, and you are more of a normal person that's just like, hey, everyday makeup, let me just like throw in some foundation, concealer, mascara. Like if that's your style of makeup, then I can see you really liking this. I have gotten use out of this for the times that it's like, okay, like I just don't have time to do a full look like this, but I also don't want to have nothing on, but I also don't want to look like I'm trying too hard. Like this has come in handy. I probably will get rid of it today just because I'm no longer really that skin type, and I'm certainly not this shade, at least right now. And it's gonna float around for quite a while in my collection. So I feel pretty good about getting rid of it, but I was pleasantly surprised at how much use I got out of that when I first got it. You know what I'm saying? So something to consider. The other stick foundation I have is from Hourglass, and this is like the Vanish stick foundation. I have had mixed opinions about this over the last couple of years, and I've kind of talked about them here on my channel. At one point I was using this when I had more oily skin, and I was like, I do really like it, but I bet it would be even better if I had dry skin because it is pretty creamy. However, then when I was on Accutane and I did have more dry skin, I actually didn't love it. Like I felt like it looked kind of cakey. So my opinion has changed, and I do feel like this is better if you're more normal to oily. Like ideally just normal skin tone or skin type, but if you are like leaning oily, I do like this. I think this is good coverage. I love the finish because it is very just like natural satin finish, not too matte. And I didn't have much problems with it creasing. This is also super expensive, so for sure keeping. I should get some more use out of it though. Just so you know, mine is in the shade Linen, which I feel like is pretty effing light. Like, wow, this is so light, which is probably why I haven't worn it in a while. Anyways, still gonna keep because, I don't know, maybe in a few months I will be a little bit more pale. We'll see how it goes. Okay, last foundations. I have 2 bottles of the same. Have you guys gotten sick of me talking about this? Because here's the thing though. This is L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. I found this and tried it for the first time. I believe it was in November of 2019 when I was in the thick of Accutane. I had decently dry skin, normal to dry, I would say. And when I tried this, I think I tried it for the first time on camera. I fell in love with it. Like, fell in love with it, okay? This is so good for dry skin. It has beautiful finish, more dewy rather than glowy, like there's no shimmer in it or anything like that. Really good coverage, hydrating, never ever looked like dry or cakey on my skin. Just stunning. Like, literally could not stop using it. I actually bought a shade that would match me now. However, like I was thinking would happen, after getting off Accutane, my skin, like I said, has become more oily, and this is just a little too dewy for me. So I literally recently bought this like 2 weeks ago, and I can't even really wear it because it's just a little too dewy for my preferences. I mean, I could like mix it in with one of these more like matte foundations to try to get use out of it, and I probably should do that to at least like not let it go to waste. But I have a full blown bottle here that's never been opened because I was like, I have to have a backup of this. This blew my mind when I had more dry skin. I wish I could still continue this love affair, but now that my skin type has changed, I just can't really. I should probably give this to my sister actually because I think she would like it. Anyways, so let's put these back in here and see what this looks like. Okay, so I started off with 17 foundations and I'm getting rid of 7 of them, so I only have 10, which seems insane. I really only have 7 because 3 of them I have doubles of for the shade. So is 7 foundations still a lot for a normal person? Yes, of course it is, but I love having these options, and a lot of these are actually drugstore. I literally only have 2 high-end foundations that I'm keeping, and that's the Hourglass one and then the Estee Lauder Double Wear one. I mean, I hope we can all agree at this point, the drugstore is doing foundations the right way, and I love so many of them. So I'm happy to be getting rid of 7 foundations, and actually I can probably even set this one aside, like I said, for my sisters to use. So I'm even getting rid of 1 more than that. What do you guys think of this video? Do you think I got rid of enough? Hopefully. Like, these videos are hard to do because I'm thinking on the spot and like working through my feelings out loud. And although I'm in therapy about once a week, that can still be hard to do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it and you'll stick around for future videos. You can do that by hitting the subscribe button. Also, if you did like it, it helps out my channel. If you click the thumbs up, I do really appreciate that. And I appreciate you being here anyways. Feel free to check out my Instagram if you want to be friends IRL. It's at nat_fabulous. And thank you again for being here. I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye.